of that white van. But again, if you're just tuning in, there is a pursuit driver that is just look at this, ramming into the front of that black and white. That is Fullerton Police. Fullerton Police now trying to block him in as he puts it in reverse.
Wow.
He's going up and down, trying to, well, he has nowhere to go here. He's really trying to ram that car out of his way as he is now stuck in that parking spot. There's really nowhere for him to go. He's got a fence in front of him. Look at this. Look at violently into reverse, ramming right into that Fullerton Police Department vehicle.
And it's one officer who's dealing with this, right? It looks like he locked down his vehicle. He's pulled back a little bit. But this is one of those situations that we have seen in the past get deadly.
This is very dangerous. Obviously, that officer has no choice but to use force if his life is in danger, but he is waiting for backup, and at this point really has very few options available to him. Here's another officer on the suspect's right rear flank. So now two officers, not sure if they both came from that same patrol car, but I only see those two officers on foot, and he is just going back and forth. Now he's created some room to escape here, and he's going to probably try and ram in again or do a four-point turn and turn it around. He's got to turn it all the way around without hitting that tree, and he may have a couple minutes to do it here, because what else can those officers do? They really don't have many options. Here comes the backup. Here comes backup, head-to-head. This is dangerous. Look at this. A head-on situation almost with that patrol car. Officers out of the vehicle, and now he's racing through the subdivision as on Coronet Avenue, after evading four separate black and whites who were just pulling into the neighborhood to try and help that original officer after a wild scene in that parking lot. We now have a brand new pursuit on our hands here as he has carjacked this vehicle and now racing down Coronet Avenue at Maple Street. Once again, a dangerous situation on the hands of Fullerton Police here.
This has me really concerned, because this is the kind of behavior that becomes extremely violent. The desperation of this driver is beyond what we have seen in a long time, and this could be really bad for the community, police officers, and himself as well, because he's showing no ability to reasonably think his way through the situation that he is in right now. And as you can see, now he's in a giant vehicle that is not maneuverable, and he's gunning it, and anybody who is in his way is in danger.
That's right. And anybody who is willing to engage with those cops like that, attempted assault on, look at this, ramming past all of this traffic here as he tries to get back on the freeway. It looks like he's trying to get back on the 91 freeway. He sideswiped two separate cars to get through that red light, getting back onto the 91 freeway. Surely CHP is being called in here as Fullerton Police really has their hands tied. Many of those officers, I have not seen them get much closer to him, and now he is on the westbound side of the 91 freeway. As I was about to say, anybody who is that reckless and willing to put themselves in that position where they are face-to-face with those officers, it is a desperate suspect behind the wheel here, and obviously very, very dangerous.
I guess what's going to happen now, I imagine, is it still Anaheim PD? Does the CHP take this thing over? And this is extremely dangerous. He probably doesn't even know how to deal with a vehicle that big and that heavy in those kinds of speeds.
And he just has no regard. He has no problem ramming into anybody at this point or sideswiping any vehicle that's in his way. So I think we are about to see some really dangerous, very precarious situation here for every motorist who you see in this frame. Again, westbound side of the 91 freeway has now transitioned to the southbound the northbound 5 freeway. He is now northbound on the 5 freeway, where traffic, I've got to tell you, is relatively light for as far as I could see out the window from up here at Air 7 HD. Very little traffic in his way. I can only imagine, as you were wondering too, David, that I can only imagine that CHP has been requested to take this over, because you've got Anaheim PD, who's pretty much out of pocket. They do have their airship in the area, but Fullerton PD is now out of their jurisdiction. Now he's getting off at Beach Boulevard. So getting off at Beach Boulevard, onto Beach Boulevard. Oh, look at that, fishtailing as he came off the freeway there onto Beach Boulevard, off of Beach Boulevard onto Auto Center Drive as he continues northbound at a high rate of speed. A little more traffic on this street here as he makes a wild right turn into oncoming lanes of traffic. There's Anaheim PD's helicopter. They are directly over him, likely calling out for CHP, but right now, ever since he took this vehicle out of that parking lot, we have not seen any ground units engage with this suspect yet.
All right, Chris Christie, thank you for that, and we're going to continue to follow this pursuit, a crazy pursuit. And I'm going to ask you in a moment just to recap what you know about this suspect. This is Giovanna Lotta. You're watching Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock as we continue to follow this breaking news alongside David Ono.
So as we were saying, Chris, the suspicion that he won't be able to handle a vehicle like this, watching his back end kind of lose traction and almost flip the vehicle over, that's exactly what we were talking about. This guy is so reckless and dangerous that, I'm really fearful of what lies ahead here.
Yeah, very fearful, very agitated driver behind the wheel here. It all started as a failed traffic stop, refusing to pull over. He was in a black Honda Civic when it all started, and it appeared, we saw him on several occasions try and dump that vehicle, and now he has taken over a white van. That's a GMC van, almost looks like a work van that was parked in those townhomes, now on Artesia Boulevard as CHP tries to get in here and race up Artesia to catch up with the suspect. But once again, no black and whites in sight as he is breaking every rule of the road and showing no regard for anybody's safety here, just ramming into vehicles whenever he sees anybody in his way. He sideswiped two separate vehicles, getting off of the 91 freeway, lost control at Beach Boulevard, as you said, David, he fishtailed off of the freeway there, almost lost control actually, and is now regained control on a much less traveled boulevard here. This is Artesia Boulevard, where you can see once again he's got much of the road all to himself here.
Right, it's wide open. He is gunning it. I'm sure there's an explanation why there aren't any black and whites on him, and maybe they're working their way towards him because he is moving really quickly. But that situation that we're watching on the right, we're rerunning the video of him desperately ramming into a police car and trying to get out, and yet we still don't see any black and whites kind of maneuvering their way to him. It's interesting.
He is just bound to lose control of this vehicle. You could tell with every turn, he's barely braking. He's taking all of these turns way too fast. A very top-heavy vehicle that he is showing very limited capability of controlling. There are some black and whites a ways back, but they are having trouble catching up. They are not competing with him with these dangerous tactics that we're seeing here. He is driving very dangerously, but they've got to figure something out because this is the same driving that we were seeing when he was in a small little black Honda Civic. We were very easily able to spot him on the freeway. Look at this, more traffic in his way. We'll see what he does here, but every time he's caught himself in a little bit of a jam, he just tries to use the vehicle to ram his way through here. Looks like he's gotten through that light there. Here we're on Valley View Avenue. As I was mentioning, it was very easy to spot him on the freeway originally because the driving was so erratic. And again, throughout this pursuit, except for when he stole this vehicle, he has had really nobody behind him. He's just driving like a madman through the streets of Whittier now here on Valley View Avenue at Alondra Boulevard. Through the green light here with a little more traffic in his way, and we'll see what he attempts to do here. But I've got to believe that Honda was running out of fuel. You saw some front-end damage. He obviously had been in some collisions with that car, and we already have witnessed several collisions with this car. Not to mention that wild scene in the parking lot. If you missed it, I hope we can roll back some of that video where he was ramming that black and white, that lone Fullerton police officer who was just trying to block parking spot with his gun drawn. He rammed that black and white out of the way, and the pursuit is on once again. But right now, as we've been saying, no law enforcement able to keep up with him just yet.
Driving extremely recklessly, and it's now, what, 5:05? People are getting out of work. Families are driving home, with their kids from school. A very dangerous situation. The afternoon commute always always heavier. Now he's going against traffic. Look at this, against traffic.
Over the median into oncoming lanes of traffic through a parking lot here. He's going to come out on Rosecrans Avenue, going the wrong way. Wrong way on Rosecrans. Wrong way on Rosecrans.
Oh, my
It's
gosh.
immediate.
And there's
He's
no
gonna
way
have to
off.
jump oh, my goodness. Look at this. He's going to probably shift over to the correct lanes here, but he had nowhere to go there. Didn't jump the median. Just went the wrong way. Is now on the westbound side of Rosecrans Avenue, heading back towards the freeway. He's going to come up on the 5 freeway, approaching Norwalk. If he continues in the westbound direction here, looks like another crazy turn there onto a surface street into a parking spot for no reason whatsoever. Just went right over the curb there. I mean, there really wasn't anybody in his way. I'm not even sure what's going through this guy's mind. This is just very unpredictable. Impossible to set up for a spike. Look at this.
Look at him. Is he losing? No, he's not losing control. That was
trying to get
intentional.
around traffic. Yeah, almost slammed into that tree. Now, look at this. Fishtailing through the parking lot, drifting through an empty warehouse parking lot,
Something's
back
wrong with
onto
the wheels.
Marquette Avenue.
Well,
he is having a lot of trouble with this vehicle, guys.
Maybe something's wrong with the wheels.
Or it's just really heavy. He's not used to it. Maybe there's a lot of weight in it. It's top heavy. You know, there could be a lot of explanations, but it is a large vehicle that's never meant to be driven the way he's driving it. And
Absolutely
so as a result, he's losing the back end of it and almost losing complete control.
Yeah, not composed at all. It looks like he might even have a flat tire. Look at this.
You're right.
Oh,
he's lost the tread.
Yeah.
He's on his rim.
Yeah.
He's on that left rear tire is almost down to I don't know if there's any tread left, but he's looks like he's got some sparks coming off occasionally. You saw some of that rubber flying off, and now he's going to have even more trouble maintaining control of this vehicle as he continues northbound on Marquette Avenue, right along the wash here. There's a golf course off of the nose, but we are in a commercial area. It's going to turn into a more residential street if he continues, but there is a black and white now behind him. Code 3 with lights and sirens on, about maybe 50 feet back. Let's go ahead and widen out and see which agency that is that's behind him. That looks like maybe still Fullerton. It's Fullerton PD. Fullerton PD back in pursuit, guys.
It is unbelievable.
And this is Santa Fe, sorry to cut you off, Santa Fe Springs, or is he back in Whittier now? Ooh, look at the light.
Yeah, we're in the Norwalk area, I think, now as he comes up. Well, no, he's not in Norwalk yet, but look at this. He's going through that gas station without any tire on that left
collision.
Right, that left
he got out
rear
just in
wheel.
time.
Almost struck several vehicles there. A miracle nobody's gotten hurt yet, but you can see he is really in a jam now. Lots of traffic ramming into all of these cars here. Again, this is northbound Carmenita
He's
Road
spinning
now,
that back wheel, and it's not going anywhere. Now he's wedged.
He's stuck. Now he's stuck.
Yeah, he's wedged against that car with no tread on his left-hand side. He's trapped right now. He might be able to get himself free, but this is where it's really going to get dangerous for a lot of folks around.
He's revving it.
Sparks flying, and that officer right there has to treat this with kid glove care.
Yeah.
And likely going to have to step away from his vehicle because we already seen him put it in reverse once and ram into that other patrol car. Right now he's trying to go forward, and he's not going anywhere.
The rim's going to get red hot and start a fire.
Stuck.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
what I
likely
fear.
to start a fire. You can see those rims are starting to glow.
But I'm surprised there's not more.
What is
more backup?
I'm sure
there's certainly more on the way over here. Right now, if we widen it just a little bit, we can confirm just that one black and white. Just the one black and white. We're at Placid Drive, northbound Carmenita Road, and he is now stranded here. We'll see how this officer deals with this. He's likely just going to wait for backup, and right now it doesn't appear as though that
is he intentionally trying to start a fire?
Well, he's desperate. Look at him. Look at him. He's desperate. But we don't know if there's somebody in that white car. And that could be another complication to this situation.
Very agitated.
He's agitated, exasperated. He's not thinking clearly. He should be giving up. This is ridiculous that he's doing this.
I wonder if he
but
might
there could be somebody over there.
You've got to wonder if he's thinking about getting out of this van and trying to hijack another one. You've got to at least wonder whether that's going through his mind. He's probably not aware. Well, now he's aware. I was going to say he might not even be aware that his wheel's on fire, but certainly he's aware of the fire under the hood. More pieces flying out there as this vehicle is starting to come apart.
What was that? Did something explode, or what was that flying from the front of the vehicle? Maybe the engine blew.
I'm thinking it came from the, well, it could be, because, I mean, where else would that smoke be coming from? But I don't think any shots have been fired yet.
The wheel's still spinning,
probably
too.
is not the case. But that wheel, that left rear wheel, is also creating some metal as well. So it could have come from the rear, but now I've got to wonder if that transmission is just reached its limit, and that's what's producing the smoke here. Not sure, but in any event, it has overheated, and it looks like the vehicle is now disabled. Additional units now pulling into position
CHP.
here. So some
That's a
backup from
welcome sight.
CHP, backup from CHP and Fullerton PD.
Oh, he's gone.
As he gets out of the vehicle, crawls out of the passenger window, and is now running for it northbound Carmenita Road. Running up northbound Carmenita at Leffingwell Road as he crosses the street. We've seen this person make several desperate attempts to hijack other vehicles. We will see what he decides to do here. Lots of folks getting home here in Fullerton, or here in the La Mirada area, I want to say, and he is now running down the sidewalk without any other wheels at his disposal. He's going to start running out of steam here, and we'll see if this ends in a foot pursuit, because I think they are pursuing him on foot, but I can't confirm that from my vantage point. Here comes another officer in the opposite direction, and he's now run into a residential
this is a very
here.
dangerous situation.
Loses
oh my
his
goodness.
footing.
Those people need
Is that a dog?
Oh no.
Oh no, oh no. He's now on private property. You saw that it looked like a woman next to her home here. He's now in the backyard, and he's going to hide out here along Leffingwell Road.
Oh, you see,
there he is. He's jumped the fence.
Jumping fences. He's jumping fences, looking for a way into one of these homes.
Dogs.
Oh, was that a dog?
Is he trying to get into the
small
home?
Dog there in the backyard. He's under that patio, that awning. He's trying to get into that car, into that house, rather.
I'm just concerned about the people because he's clearly desperate. We don't know if he's armed.
Oh, the dogs are running out.
Dangerous.
Oh, there he is. He's
trying to break into a home.
He is in.
Several dogs barking. He's now going through that sliding glass door, making his way into the home.
There's a homeowner, or maybe that's a police officer in the front.
It might even be a homeowner, not sure.
I think it's the homeowner.
Oh, my
he's probably, he might be unaware.
He could probably.
There's somebody in his
completely
house.
unaware. Yeah, he's on the other side of the building. I don't think he has any clue.
He might be hearing the lights and sirens, went outside to check it out, not realizing.
No information, but here comes somebody running out the front. Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Look at this, a confrontation.
These are the people inside the house, multiple
home,
people.
And now we're going to come around the front here.
Oh my goodness. They're trying to.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
They're going after him.
Where's the guy?
He's getting in the car.
He's in the truck.
He's in their vehicle.
He's in the truck.
And there's a dog under it.
There's a dog under that truck.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Look at this. He just stole it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is incredible.
This is right through their gate. Tore down their gate.
Unbelievable. Stay with us. We're going to get the signal back. There it is.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe what we are witnessing, guys. They are going to have to get creative here because this person is look at this. Just ramming into cars, additional bumpers flying off of that other vehicle. And now he's, I believe, westbound on Leffingwell Road. I want to say westbound. Is that? Can we put the compass up real quick? Yeah, westbound Leffingwell. If you live in this area or have any idea where we are here, if you are looking at us, you need to stay inside because there is a dangerous suspect behind the wheel here. I feel very sorry for all of the other cars on the road here as he continues to make his way towards the freeway once again. We may find ourselves back on the freeway, but look at him. A little bit of traffic, and once again, right through another gas station. This is just incredible. This is the third vehicle that he has stolen today.
This is the man who's a danger to society in every definition. This has to be shut down. And I imagine police officers from multiple agencies have been watching this and are putting together some sort of a game plan on how to handle him. And it may be something really aggressive.
That's right. That's the only thing that I could think of if they have the opportunity. They're going to have to catch up with him.
Idea of what he will be facing other than a chase?
One car to another, but 3 different vehicles.
And as you can see, he's driving in a residential area.
And one of the
right
problems
now.
we're having, there's a delay, and you can hear the delay. It's at least probably 10 to 12 second delay here. So I don't know if there's any way anybody can clear that up, but it's
Well,
kind
I
of
tell
difficult
you what, we can't read
communicating
right
with that
now. I
delay.
can tell you right now, Chuck, he's on Shoemaker Avenue. He's in the Santa Fe Springs area, and we talk about his speeds on the surface streets. Look, he's in a work truck here, and he's doing 74, 75, 76 miles an hour.
And he appears just to be going kind of in a large circle around in the same general area. We don't see any officers behind him at the moment. We know that there is at least one airship overhead following it, as are we. And he doesn't even have the lights on yet, I don't think. I can see tail lights, but he's hitting the brakes quite a bit. Now he's going to hop the center divider once again. He'll be on the wrong side of the road now as he picks up speed once again. Ooh. Whoa, look at this.
Lawrence Avenue
This
here.
is not good. Through an intersection. And back down he goes again.
Ileana, are you with us? Can you hear us now? If you can you give us an idea of where this started? What city it started in?
I am, Colleen, and well, we first heard about it when it was in Anaheim, and so we believe that's where it started because it was the Anaheim police helicopter that was overhead. That's Angel, and then they asked for the assistance of Duke, which is the Orange County Sheriff's helicopter. So that's when we first picked it up, and then we followed him to an apartment complex in Anaheim where we thought it was over because he got out of the car and took off running, but then jumped into a white van which was parked, and directly behind that white van was a police car. So he rammed that police car multiple times to get it out of the way so he could leave that area, and then the pursuit continued on surface streets, and it's never been on the freeway. It's always been, actually, a correction, it was on the freeway, on the 5 freeway for about 1 exit's worth. He exited off of Beach Boulevard and then continued on surface streets, and then we saw him get out of that van. Oh gosh, what a close call there. He ran the red light there, and that burgundy car almost hit him, but he then ended up stealing this third car. But again, we don't know what the original want was. We just know that it was Anaheim police that were over the pursuit when it began, and we are now in LA County. We're in Santa Fe Springs.
Eliana, if you can hear us, how will officers be reacting now that he's really ratcheted up the degree of this chase and the danger of what is going on here? Can you give us an idea?
At this point, I would say that thinking about something like spike strips is going to be a good idea, but what they have to figure out is where he's going, because they would have to anticipate his general direction to be able to deploy some spike strips in front of him. They've already tried surveillance mode. That's what they're doing right now, which means that there's no units behind him. So essentially, he doesn't even think he's being pursued. There's no one. When he looks in the rearview mirror, he's not seeing any police units. All that is overhead is the helicopter, and he really can't see that. So that in terms of that, they've already tried it. It's not working. In terms of a pit maneuver, that's going to be tough. This is a big car, and he's been driving at high speeds for the most part. Ideally, he'd want to be about 35 miles an hour or less to attempt a pit maneuver, but right now that's not even being considered because all of these roads are also so busy with people who are simply just trying to get home from a day of work, and so officers are not going to endanger any of their lives by trying a pit maneuver on this guy.
When we think about the fact that this is the third vehicle he's been in, what are the chances, Chuck or Ileana, that he would find 2 vehicles with keys in them? I mean, the last one we witnessed was in what appeared to be a yard with several people out there and a dog. He hopped in the truck and somehow started it and took off.
That this is a utility truck, and it wasn't, I mean, it could have just been pulled into the driveway. The people that own the house, I am imagining that's who they were out right away. So maybe they'd just come back home from work. Maybe they didn't have time to get in all their stuff out of the truck. Maybe they were going back out again. We really don't know. But he was just lucky, lucky, that the keys were in the truck. None of the rest of us are lucky, and certainly the people who own the truck were not lucky at all about that. It is incredibly fortunate, as Eliana pointed out, that nobody was hurt in that confrontation out in front of the garage at that home. And the fact that there was a porch light or a light on the garage illuminated so we could actually see what was going on there. I'm going to have the picture frozen here for just a second.
Those people and their dog. And then he just rammed right through their fence to get away. But he would have easily run any of them over to get away, because you can sense the desperation that this person has. Again, this is the third car that he's been in. And we don't know what the original want was that led to all of this. But clearly, whatever it is, this person is desperate and is trying everything he can to get away.
Every time you see him go through an it's
behind us, Jim.
What do they call?
Intersection?
Intersection, that's the word I was looking for there. Every time you see him go through there, you hold your breath and you gasp at how close he gets to some of the other vehicles out there. Eliana, can you give us an exact location on where he is right now? We know he's in the city of Whittier.
2 o'clock. Yes, he's in a residential area of Whittier, just off of Rose Hedge Drive and Wellsford Avenue. This is actually the slowest I've seen him go. And he, for the most part, hasn't gone in residential areas. He's been staying on major streets. So I wonder if perhaps this is an area that is familiar to him, and he's just trying to work his way back home. Again, we don't know if officers even know who this guy is or where he may live. But the fact that he's driving around so slowly leads me to believe that perhaps this is an area he is familiar with.
Well, one fortunate thing, nobody appears to be out right now. That is fortunate for everyone. And there's no traffic on this little street. That is also a fortunate situation. Here he comes up again, going to make a turn there to the right.
We have Dr. Errol Southers with us once again, I believe. Errol, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you are watching this from a command structure, let's say. What is the game plan going forward? I mean, how do you handle this sort of thing? He's dangerous on the roads. You would want to get him off as quickly as possible, but you don't want to antagonize him anymore so that he does something even more desperate. What do you do?
Well, Colin, you're absolutely right. The good news is now he's in an area where there's very, very light traffic. It's obviously residential. He's driving very slowly. He's either lost or knows the area and is just trying to find a place to get out of the vehicle. As you mentioned previously, multiple felonies here. The family that he took this car from was very, very fortunate that they weren't hurt. And now he appears to be going back into major traffic areas again, and that's going to be a concern. So from a command structure point of view, what you want to do is get this guy into an area where they can perform a stop. And unfortunately, he's mobile again now on a street where he's able to increase his speed. And the third vehicle, this is almost unprecedented, where you get a person that's actually taken 2 other vehicles from the initial start of this pursuit.
Well, now we got a dangerous situation. He's in a shopping center parking lot. Let's find out what shopping center this is. Or was it just a strip mall? Looks like more like a shopping center. Eliana?
Yeah, it was a shopping center just off of Hadley and Magnolia here in Whittier. We were thinking perhaps he was looking for a parking structure, but he just made his way through the lot and came back out. So still in Whittier. And now what you'll notice that we didn't have before is the night sun. So that's the light on the helicopter. So every now and then you'll see the light hit him. And so if he didn't know he was being pursued, now he's going to know because of the police helicopter light. Now, a positive thing with that is now other people will be made aware that this person is being followed because they're going to see the light of the police helicopter as well. And he's just squeezing past those cars. I could see a little bit of damage to both of them as he made his way here through the red light, continuing here Hadley and Newland Avenue in Whittier. And hitting the brakes here. This looks like a school zone. Oh my gosh. Wow, he's so lucky. He's had so many close calls like that where he's almost T-boned and somehow is able to get out of it. There's a pedestrian there, again, running another red light and continuing here, Hadley at Greenleaf.
I wonder if he feels a little bit more emboldened because he is in a heavier and a more stable vehicle in that pickup truck.
That very well could be it. The first car that he was in was a smaller sedan. The second one was a larger van, but it was a lot older, and it seemed to have some mechanical issues. This one looks great, all things considered, and you can see that it really has no issues with maneuverability like the previous car did, and he is now back in a residential area here of Whittier.
Once again, we're going to bring in Dr. Errol Southers, and I want to point out, he, in case you don't know him, he's on our air frequently. He is a law enforcement expert. And Errol, you've been involved in these kinds of chases many, many times. It almost seems like it was a tactical mistake. Once he bailed out of that car, he was able to climb over the parked car, bailed out of the second car, was able to run into backyards. They couldn't catch him before he got this one.
No, Colleen, really very difficult. I don't know that I would say it was a mistake. Certainly this guy's his desperation is unbelievable, but they pulled behind him. They were going to execute a felony stop, and he gets out of the passenger vehicle, then hops over a fence. So really hard to anticipate that might happen.
You know, as he keeps going in these residential areas, he may actually hit a street that there's no exit from.
Absolutely, and he'll probably bail out then, and we'll have a foot pursuit, which will make it a lot better situation with regards to him not being in a vehicle that can give him the advantage of getting away.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. From a law, enforcement point of view, it might even be better to have this guy in a foot pursuit than trying to grab him here in this vehicle, and now he's backing up because he did exactly what we thought he might do. He hit a street that was a dead end.
Right, and the bigger concern once he gets in that foot pursuit is him trying to gain access to another vehicle or, unfortunately, perhaps someone's residence. And we still don't know if he's armed and if he is, with what kind of weapon.
Well, you know what? To that point, Errol and Chuck, I just received a message. We were able to clip that video from the moment in the backyard where he took this truck. And if we could roll it, Errol, if you have your TV on, maybe you can see it as well. There you see he bails. We backed it up a little bit. He bails out. He's running. It's 2 or 3 minutes. He's running down the street. We're looking for the point.
Well,
here it is right
now
here.
He's parked.
No, here it is right here, Chuck, the split screen.
Okay, yeah.
We'll keep an eye on him parking. But it looks like, we pull the video, it does look like somebody is armed there and someone...
I don't see a flash. I see flashlights, and I see the headlights of the vehicle.
Can we roll it back? It happened about 2 seconds ago. Errol, did you see it? Did you catch it?
Unfortunately, I'm on a little bit of a video delay, but I'm looking at it now, and it does appear that while he is running, he definitely has something in his hand. Hard to tell whether it's a cell phone or firearm or not, but really difficult to tell.
Okay, we'll see if we can get that back up and maybe highlight it a little bit so you can get a look at it.
And the pursuit continues. Pursuit from the air. Eliana?
Back with you guys here. He's now on Beverly Boulevard in Whittier. What happened back there was he got himself into a residential area where he realized if he kept going, he was going to get stuck. So he U-turned and is now back on major streets here in Whittier and headed westbound. Fortunately, we haven't really seen his behavior get any more dangerous than what we initially saw. But you can see that he really doesn't want to wait behind traffic. Again, there's no units behind him. It's just the helicopter overhead with the night sun. So the good thing about the night sun is that other drivers are made aware that there's some sort of police activity, and they'll just be more aware when this person drives right up to them. I did notice that the car does now have some body damage, at least, from when he's collided with other vehicles. But he's just on the other side of those trees there, so I'm going to widen out. I think he's just up ahead a little bit. I lost him there just behind the trees. I'm trying to get the camera back on him. But again, Beverly at Easy Way here in Whittier.
Eliana, I don't know if you know this. You're trying to do a lot of things at the same time here. How far away are the other units? In other words, if something should happen and they need to get the units to the scene right away, let's say he bails out of that truck, starts to run or something like that. There you've got the truck again. How far away are these units that would come up?
They stay in the general area, but it's just far enough so that he doesn't see them. So if he were to abandon the truck right now, let's say, it might take about a minute or two for them to arrive on scene. So they're in the general area, their lights are off, sirens are off. It's like they're not even part of this, but they are cruising down streets that parallel where he's at. And the airship is calling out the vehicle's location so that those other ground units can stay in the general area for when this pursuit comes to an end.
So
because they don't know, go ahead.
Well, is that air unit then in charge of the pursuit right now?
Correct, yeah. So the air unit is the one that is calling out the chase for all of the ground units to know that this is coming their way. And of course, other
All right, let's. We've got a split screen up here, and Chuck.
Yes, back in the van again.
Back in the van.
And
That's
there
the
we
second
see him,
car.
Yeah, and now we've got the live pursuit there on the left side of your screen. And Eliana once again. Eliana.
Back with you guys here, and we are still in Whittier. We're near the 605 freeway. We're just off of Workman Mill, so this would be his chance to get on the freeway if he wants to. But for the most part, he hasn't been on the freeway at all. We just saw him get on the 5 freeway for about 1 exit's worth before getting on surface streets. But here you go. We now have units directly behind him, but they are giving him plenty of room.
Why do you think they were called in at this point, since they've been in tracking mode so long?
I think it's because the tracking mode hasn't worked, Chuck. They tried it for a long time, but clearly he continues to drive very recklessly. So now the officers really need to weigh their options. Should we continue to follow him directly behind him so that other people can see that this is a pursuit and move out of the way, or just let him continue to drive, hoping that he'll slow down? Clearly he's not slowing down, so they've decided that it's best to just alert the public and get directly behind him.
Yeah, we call your attention to the speedometer there. He was up to over 70 miles an hour before pulling up to this intersection. Ileana, he's been in the city of Whittier for a very long time. He's just moved into industry. Is he almost moving in a circular pattern and circling back, because he's been in that location for the better part of 10, 15 minutes at least?
Yeah, it's really difficult to tell if there's any pattern to his driving, just knowing that this started all the way in Anaheim. And from covering pursuits, we know people tend to return to an area that is familiar to them. So I would venture to say he would try to get back to Anaheim. But at this point now, we're all the way up in industry. So we've left Orange County and now are in LA County, and he's again very close to that 605 freeway. And now I'm actually hearing this pursuit on the LA County channels, so I'm hearing LA County sheriffs calling the pursuit.
So now it's in the domain of the LA County Sheriff's Department, so it has switched one time at least and may switch again as he continues, and they appear to be getting even a little closer to that truck.
Is he getting on a freeway here?
Yeah, he is. He's getting on the 60 freeway, eastbound 60 from the 605 essentially.
Whoa.
Wow, look at that. He's starting to drop things as he's right at the merge with the 605. So we'll see if he tries to get on the 605 south. That would be my guess, again, because I think he would want to return to Orange County. But if he moves to the left, as he is doing now, it's going to put him on the 60.
And he may get into a fishtailing problem as well, because it looks like the back of that truck is pretty much loaded with equipment. I don't know what the job was that truck was on, but it's got a lot of equipment there in the bed of the truck.
Yeah, he's been overdriving both the vehicles he was in. First that tall van, and now this one.
In and out of traffic here.
And it's really unfortunate because we know that truck does not belong to him, and everything on it doesn't belong to him.
That's
this
right.
belongs to some hardworking folk who were just literally coming home from work. It was 5 o'clock. The car was safely in their driveway behind a closed fence, and then this guy jumps into their backyard, fights them for the car, jumps in it, crashes through the fence, and takes off. And unfortunately, since then, he has collided with other vehicles, so I can see visible damage on the vehicle, and some of their property, of course, has gone flying as well.
And he's really picked up the speed once again.
Yeah, almost 100 miles an hour. And I don't think we're going to see him go more than that, because miles an hour, so that should technically be about the top speed that we should see.
Let's take, Ileana, if you could, give us a location. We know he's on the 60 freeway, but what exits or entrances are we coming up on?
Yeah, so we're coming up to Crossroads Parkway, so we're eastbound on the 60, just east of the 605 freeway. So we're in the area of Avocado Heights, City of Industry, Hacienda Heights. We're going to pass all of those cities here as he continues eastbound on the 60. And for the most part, it looks like he's sticking to the fast lane, not the carpool, but the fast lane, and some slower moving traffic up ahead of him. So it looks like he's just going to weave in and out of traffic here as needed to continue to evade the police.
Is there any freeway exit from the HOV lane, or does he have to move all the way over to the right side?
He'll have to move all the way over if he wants to exit off of any stretch here of the eastbound 60. And his next freeway option after this, of course, is going to be the 57, but that's a long ways away. So we'll see if he gets off before then, or if he rides this out to the 57. If he does that and he takes that south, then that would put him back in Anaheim, which is where this all began. What seems like an hour ago. We were first on a pursuit that ended at Knott's Berry Farm, and then this one started immediately after, but it wasn't this car. This was 2 cars ago. It was a black small car. Yeah. He jumped into a white van, and now this white truck.
Is the CHP on this one as well now? Typically, when they get on the freeway for any amount of time, they're called in as well.
Yeah, normally CHP would be called in. At this point, I'm just hearing it on sheriffs. So if I get a chance to check the units, I'll be able to tell if CHP is behind him. I can tell you that when he was still in the white van and he was at a dead stop because he had lost that tire, I saw CHP there. But that was at least 30 minutes ago now, so it's unclear if they're behind him now. But they are the police of our freeways, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do get behind him at some point.
Another thing, when he hits, going that fast, he keeps hitting the brakes every now and then to avoid hitting somebody and swerving around. That's not good on the vehicle either. So he could have other mechanical issues developing that we don't even know about here, not to mention the fact that those don't get really great gas mileage at all. And we don't know what the tank was at. I mean, we'll guess that they'd been working all day with the vehicle, so...
Yeah, and we don't know how
I would be
he lost
surprised
the other
if it
tire,
had more
right?
than, say, a quarter of a tank of gas in it, but who knows?
But on the van, we don't know how he lost the tire, the rubber on the rim there.
Well, I think it was just swerving around like that eventually.
But there was no spike strip.
No, there was no spike strip that we saw.
We have had a chance to isolate, and I'm going to figure out when we can do this. Chuck, maybe you can help out as well. Just when there's a spot or a lull here, let's put up a split screen and go back to the time when he stole. Well, here it is right here. Look at the guy with the long white sleeve shirt. We've been able to isolate that a little bit, and it looks like he may be armed. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can't tell. He did swing around with something, but it could have been a cell phone. He definitely had something in his hand. The guy in the white shirt. But I don't know, maybe if they could really isolate it and blow it up, we might see a lot more.
It's hard to see on this small screen.
Yeah. Well, Eliana, how far does he have to go here until he hits the 57? Are we talking a couple of miles or what? Oop. Little box in there.
Yeah, he's still at least a good 5 miles from the 57 freeway. But I was just listening to the police scanner, and I do have a little bit more information. They're saying he's wanted for carjacking and assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, which were all things that we witnessed live on our air. So, again, unclear what the original reason was that they were trying to pull him over, but during the course of the pursuit, assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer and carjacking.
Okay, so assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, that could be the pursuit itself, right?
Yeah, that
Putting
would be
officers
when
in danger. And there would be another charge.
Rammed the police car.
Another charge for assault with the 4 guys at the house where he stole the vehicle, probably, because he got in a fight with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, can you give us a location again, Ileana?
Yeah, we're City of Industry. He just exited off of Azusa from the 60 freeway, and he's making a turn to the east. So this is perfect for us, Jim. Thank you. James Pollard at the controls there. News Shopper 4.
Another one, yeah.
Yeah, just clipped that car again, or another car. We've seen him do it so many times now, too many to count. But again, yeah, we're hearing carjacking, which was when he took this car, assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, which was when he rammed the police car when he was in the white van to get it out of that parking spot.
Yeah, he's over in the bike lane now.
right behind us. Yeah, turning south.
Oh. Yeah.
And so another question you guys had was CHP. I just heard them say CHP was notified and they were told they could take over the pursuit, but now that it's back on surface streets, we're back in Sheriff's Department territory. So at this point, I would venture to say CHP is going to back off until the pursuit gets back on the highway.
Now, have they fallen back into that tracking mode again here, or are they still pursuing him?
Yeah, let me widen out real quick and see if I see any units. Yeah, I'm not seeing any units, so it's still
okay.
It's tracking mode yet again, because whether they're behind him or not, at this point it doesn't matter. He's going to drive so dangerously regardless, and now he's in the Roland Heights area. He hasn't been here before, so we've gone from Anaheim up to Whittier, now Roland Heights.
It looks like there are speed bumps there. Is he in a residential area?
Yeah, this is a highly residential area. I'm seeing homes on either side of the street, which always makes for a dangerous situation. It's 5:42 in the evening. People just coming home from work, coming home from school, and there is a dangerous police pursuit in this neighborhood here of Roland Heights.
Kind of following me around. Remember, once again, he's been in there once before where he got into a residential area and found it was a dead end and couldn't get out and had to back up and come back out again. So there's always the chance he could find himself in another no exit area.
Let's bring in Dr. Errol Southers again. Errol, as you're watching this with us and you see, talk to us what goes through the mindset of a command officer in this situation. What's his first priority other than to get this guy off the road?
Well, his first priority is to reduce the risk of harm to the public, and not the people that are driving, people that are walking. As was just mentioned, people coming home from work. It's 5:42 in the evening. My biggest concern are pedestrians out there who don't know that this is going on, just innocent people that are going about their way and possibly at the risk of becoming a victim of a crash or something like that because of the way this individual is driving. So that's an incident commander's real concern now, in addition to the fact of what he's wanted for. Is he armed? And, how far is he willing to go? I mean, this person appears to not want to stop at any cost. And the speeds in a vehicle like this are extremely dangerous. You can see there he's just missing people in intersections, and it just keeps getting more and more challenging.
But how do you stop him? At what point do you just back off altogether and let him think he got away?
I think they've done the absolute best thing. We've got an airship up there. The units are close enough. At some point, he'll either get wedged or he'll have to stop. It's a really tricky situation with regards to how far you let this go and how far you stay back until he has to make a decision, meaning the driver.
As they continue to use the night sun on him, that's the light from the helicopter, he knows that he's being followed. So even if they pull back into this tracking mode, I'm wondering if it's kind of self-defeating, because he knows he's being followed. No matter where he goes, he's being followed because he can see that light as it flashes around him.
He does, but unfortunately, all of these drivers that are involved in pursuits like this seem to think that they can outrun an aircraft. And you can see there, regardless of the illumination from the airship, he is not slowing down. He is not stopping. He is intent on getting away. And at this rate, at least people in the area know that he's being followed, and we don't put them at lesser risk, and we also put the officers at lesser risk. So this is the best solution for now, but at some point, this is going to end, because either the vehicle will fail or he'll be stuck and have to make a decision.
I'm wondering, you just saw the two black and whites as he went through the intersection there. Is a spike strip even possible on a road like this?
Well, a spike strip is certainly possible, but you just don't know which road he's going to be on when you lay that spike strip down, and you need some distance ahead of him to anticipate he's going to be coming through that intersection to put the spike strip down. It takes time. He's driving at a high rate of speed. And so to look at a map and figure out where he might be in another 2 minutes or another minute is really challenging.
And of course, in this one, we have one known factor. We have an extremely desperate person out there. And should he be in traffic? Should he get boxed in? Should he run out of gas, or for whatever reason it might be? I don't think he'd have any qualms at all about taking somebody else's vehicle.
Oh, no doubt, Chuck. I mean, look, he got out of a truck, out of the van, and went across another car and through the backyard and took on an entire family to take this vehicle.
Yeah.
He is intent on getting away. There's no doubt about that at all costs, and he is not going to stop until he is stopped. You know,
unfortunately, Errol, we've seen too many chases end badly, and that's why I ask, at what point do you just back off? I mean, Chuck points out you've got the night sun keeping a spotlight on him pretty much. You've got, we just noticed 2 black and whites, officers far enough back, but he can see those in his rearview mirror. So at what point do you disengage altogether?
I don't think at this point that they're going to disengage altogether. There are too many felonies involved here, endangering life. He ran into a police vehicle. They're not going to back off, but they have backed off to the extent that they're reducing the risk to the officers and hopefully reducing the risk to the public by just following him with that air unit.
Oh, man, there we go. Earl,
2 cars there, Chuck?
Yeah, he went around it, but he hit the curb, and there were some sparks because the rims of a tire hit that curb when he hit it. So, yeah. Just shows you how desperate this person is. If we can, just a minute, Eliana, give us an idea where we are, and more importantly, what's ahead if he keeps on this road?
Chuck, we're in Hacienda Heights, but he just made a turn, right as you said it, but we're Hacienda Heights at Colima Road. So nearest freeway is going to be the 60, right, but we're a long ways to the south of that. You see the units that are behind him now. I'm seeing at least 3 from my shot, but on the scanner, I'm hearing that it's actually 5. So hearing that there's 5 units of the LA County Sheriff's Department that are in pursuit of this guy. Hot pursuit now. You can see that they're not giving him as much room as they were giving him before.
Did he just pass through those areas, or is he coming up on those now?
I think we just passed them, Colleen, because we're coming up to Skyline Road here in Hacienda Heights. So you can see what he's having to do to get past these other cars. Yeah. He's, wrong side of the road here. He's so desperate that I don't know what we're going to witness here, but he's just under us here for just a moment. Again, a real windy street, very dangerous conditions here for him because he's so desperate to get away. He's crossing over to the wrong side of the road to bypass slower moving traffic, and we could easily see a head-on collision if he continues to drive this way.
And you can't help but notice the units are staying with him. I saw one pass on the passenger side there. They really tightened up just a couple of minutes ago.
And think how scary this has got to be for somebody in one of these vehicles to have all of this coming up behind you or around you. Yeah.
And I think they just have to stay on him now because they need to alert the general public of the danger that is coming their way. When people don't see those units behind the vehicle, they don't know that this guy is the danger that he is. But at least if they see those ground units behind him, they're going to hear them obviously as well with the sirens on. Hopefully it will let people know to at least move over to the right like that car just did and allow him to continue moving on. And of course, you never want to get involved in these situations. You are not highly trained the way these officers are to try to intervene and just move to the right like that car just did. Let the pursuit go by and then get back on the road when it's safe to do so.
Eliana, I know these airships have the ability to talk to people on the ground. They have a amplifier and a speaker and that kind of thing. Would that be something that they might use to warn people of what's coming ahead, or is that just not practical?
Yeah, they definitely could use the loudspeaker to notify people that the pursuit is coming their way. It likely was telling them to move to the right. Because the guy in the car is obviously not going to listen to what the police helicopter is saying. But the regular folks on the road, if you hear the helicopter saying move to the right, you're just going to do it. And fortunately, we got out of that stretch without any major collisions. But he's still on Hacienda Road coming up to Russell Street in La Habra.
And is that, I'm trying to look at the surroundings as he speeds by at 80 plus miles an hour. Is this more of a residential area, even though you've got multiple lanes here, or are you pulling into more of a business district?
It's more of a commercial area because he's now Well, he's now entering the residential area. So that was the end of the
right into it.
business area, and now he's in the residential area. This is La Habra. So we basically went from north to south, and what I'm seeing here is homes on either side of the street. So yeah, residential area off of El Rancho Drive. And again, unclear if he knows where he's at. I highly doubt it. I think he just felt pressured by the units that were behind him, and this is where he ended up. Again, this started, as far as we know, it started in Anaheim, and he's been getting that much closer to Anaheim as this pursuit has gone on.
So he's kind of working his way back to Anaheim, you think?
Oh, end of the road.
Yeah, look at
Here
this.
we go. Let's see what happens.
Cul-de-sac. This is what we had thought might happen earlier.
He's going to try to hang a U.
Well,
Oh, this is not going to be good.
No,
okay, I'm
this
going
is
to widen
not
it out
gonna
just
end
for a
well.
little bit because we don't know what's going to happen.
he's going to challenge.
Okay.
There he's going right by them,
Right by them.
splitting them up. And it's coming
So
back
he just
out.
picked up another assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer with that little move that he just tried because
For sure. Yeah.
he came right at the officer. So that's the second one so far.
You know, speak to the fact that this is very dangerous for officers. A lot of people look at this and they think, well, why didn't they just block him coming out of the cul-de-sac? Talk to us about the size of this truck and the size of the units and how that works. Ileana?
Thank you, Jim. Colleen, as you were saying, yeah, this is a much larger vehicle than any of these units, but my pilot Jim was telling me he could see about 10 units up ahead that were coming to try to box him in. So we'll see if we see them here at the end of this street. Here they are.
Yep,
so these were the units that Jim noticed, and he's going to split right between the units.
Again.
Wow.
Unfortunately,
Another
we see
245, another assault with a deadly weapon
Right
on
there.
a peace officer is what I'm hearing on the scanner. But to get back to your question, Colleen, this vehicle is a lot larger than any of those units. That's why we haven't seen anything like a pit maneuver, although I have heard the deputies ask. But look at this. I am starting to see some sparks there. Look at that tire closest to the driver. I think that tire's going to go. Hopefully, that is what brings things to an end because this has to end.
Front left tire. You know, unfortunately, we see too many of these movies where the officers form a barricade and the guy goes through the barricade or they stop him. And in reality, it just doesn't happen that way.
And we just saw the tire go flying, Chuck. Yeah, this isn't a movie,
He's down
but
on
it
his
sure
rim.
looks like
No,
it.
he's down on the rim again.
Yeah, down on the rim for the second time, but on another vehicle because this is the third car that he has been in. If you're just joining us, folks, this pursuit has been going on for a very long time, and this is the third car that this person has been in during this pursuit. Multi-agency pursuit. We started with an Anaheim police helicopter, Orange County Sheriffs. We had LA County Sheriffs, CHP for just a bit. I believe Whittier Police was also involved for a time, and we're now back in La Habra Heights, and now he's missing a front tire.
But he went for a very long time in that second car, that van. It was very unstable for a long time.
Oh, boy, look
there
at the
he is.
sparks
He won't
coming
go
up
much
now.
further
He's
in this.
way down on the rim now. Way down on the rim.
Yeah, he's completely missing that tire. I can see just the rim, and that's why we're seeing the sparks go flying. But this is the second time we've seen this, but again, on a separate car. When we saw it initially, he was still able to get out of it. He was able to jump out of the car and then carjack some good folks that had already gone home for the day. They were just at their house, and he stole this truck and continued on.
Well, Eliana, it appears he's getting out or trying to work his way out of the residential area and back kind of into the main flow of traffic out there. Is that what it appears like to you?
Yeah, so he's headed back up Hacienda Road. So you remember that stretch we were on where it was just one lane in each direction? We're headed back that way. But this time around, he's missing a tire, so I have a feeling his fortune isn't going to be as good this time around. He's going much slower than what we saw before, about 40 miles an hour, and that we're seeing sparks because he's missing that front tire, but that rim's only going to be able to last so long. As he continues on here, La Habra Heights with deputies close behind.
Eliana, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was my impression that he's now going uphill, correct? Before he was going down. It's very hilly out there, and it's, Okay.
Yeah, but look at this shot, Chuck. Incredible. I bet
Well, it really
it looks
is.
like everyone who is in the department is out here on this pursuit right now because we are seeing so many units here on Hacienda Road trailing this guy. They do not want this guy to get away after everything he's done. We've witnessed at least 3 assaults on officers during the course of this pursuit, plus 1 carjacking.
Yeah, and I want to mention we're joined by Carolyn Johnson now as you're watching the NBC4 News now at 6 o'clock. Carolyn?
And this has just been one of the more terrifying pursuits to witness. The length of time this has gone, how many vehicles this driver has hit, be it in the van or in this vehicle. I mean, I've counted at least 8 where mirrors, side mirrors have been just snapped off as he's pushed his way through intersections or areas where he didn't have passage. Eliana, this has just been crazy.
Absolutely crazy. As you said, it's been a very lengthy chase. I'm going to put it at about 90 minutes or so. We first had it in Anaheim. It was just the Anaheim police helicopter overhead, but that was 2 cars ago. That was a black small sedan. He got out of that car, jumped in a white van, and he was in that one for a while until he lost a tire, got pinned in, but somehow jumped out of that van and then carjacked this truck, which is now missing that front tire. And where we're at is Hacienda Heights, Hacienda Boulevard at Attenborough Road. Even though he's missing a tire, look at those speeds, folks. He's going about 60 to 70 miles an hour just on 3 tires alone.
And remember, he can't maneuver like he did before when he had 4 good tires. I mean, he was weaving in traffic, and it doesn't seem like he's changed his practice, but he doesn't have full control over that vehicle.
Yeah, he's not going to have the same control that he did before. And the second car that he was in also didn't have great maneuverability. And when he first started out in this truck, it was a very nice truck. It was intact. But since then, I can see a bunch of body damage. The tools that the rightful owner have gone flying. And of course, now it's missing that front tire. But even with that, he's still top speeds here in Hacienda Heights.
Yeah, the incredibly dangerous speeds that this driver's reaching, especially considering the condition of this vehicle. And you talk about the family from whom he stole this vehicle. That was just heart-wrenching to watch. And this is their whole livelihood that's racing down the road here. And as you said, items flying out. And it was a beautiful truck. It's all now bashed up on both sides.
And once again, remember, this is kind of an uphill climb as he's going up here, or he's reached the crest of the hill. Is he heading down now, or is he still kind of uphill?
It looks like he may be uphill now, and if he continues in this direction, it's going to lead right to the 60 freeway. So we'll see if he tries to get on the freeway. In a way, when a pursuit is on the freeway, it's slightly safer because at least you're not going to have any cross traffic, any red lights, any pedestrians, any cyclists. But he's going to go right under the freeway instead. So it looks like he's going to continue on here. Hacienda at Shady Bend Drive here, Hacienda Heights.
And he's just,
he just collided with some cars. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow, he just pushed that Jeep out of the way and is continuing on.
On the curb.
Absolutely incredible. Can you believe that? You're just coming home from work, minding your own business, and this guy's just plowing into everything that is ahead of him.
You know, at what
absolutely
point,
crazy.
You just wonder, what can law enforcement do at this point?
I think this is going to be the end of his truck ride
this
here.
Is it.
Oh, now they rammed him from behind. He's going into a gas station.
Oh, no.
Pulling into the mobile gas station, crashing into the pumps.
Yep. There's people out there.
Let's see. Deputies have their guns drawn. Oh, he's retreating towards the officers. Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, no.
He's going to ram the officer. Ram the police unit, rather. 998. So I'm going to widen out the shot. So
look at this
I'm going to widen out the shot because based off of what I just heard on the scanner, we could have possibly had shots fired. So for that reason, I'm going to widen out the shot and just show you the intersection, Hacienda Boulevard, here at Gale Avenue in Hacienda Heights. I'm just going to continue to monitor what I hear on the scanner, and then I'll only push in once I feel that the situation is better. But at this point, I am still hearing them calling for the driver to get out of the car.
Our law enforcement expert, Dr. Errol Southers, is with us now. Walk us through what's going on at this point.
And one other thing, too, when he rams an officer like he just did there, it's the same thing as if he would have pulled out a handgun and pointed it at an officer and fired a shot, correct?
That's absolutely correct. This is assault with a deadly weapon for numerous times tonight, and now what they will do is a felony stop and try to get him out of there, try to get him to comply without having to escalate any further. And we'll see now whether he's going to comply. They're giving him orders. They've got the area secure. It looks like they've got all the pedestrians and vehicles out of the way, and they'll take their time because he could be armed. We don't know. And they will get him out of that vehicle and hopefully take him into custody without further incident.
And it is possible they could have already terminated the suspect at this point. We believe there were shots fired into that vehicle.
Okay. And I have a slight delay, Chuck, so you're a little more informed than I am, but that certainly is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, we heard Eliana, to her understanding, there were some shots fired. And certainly, to Chuck's point, this is an incredibly dangerous situation. So many lives at risk during the course of this pursuit. And it does appear to have come to an end here in this gas station. And what a response by law enforcement we can see in this intersection.
Right. The other concern we have now is the fire that's emitting from both these vehicles and a possible vehicle fire. And that's another challenge that we'll have to deal with.
At a gas station. Yeah.
Yeah, that poses a whole other set of problems. The pump's just right here, right by where this vehicle stopped.
Let's bring in Eliana again. You know, you've been monitoring the police radios. What have you heard? Anything new you can tell us?
Chuck, based off of what I was hearing on the scanner, I felt a little bit more comfortable, so I pushed in a little bit more. I could see that he's still trying to rev the engine, which leads me to believe that he's still actively trying to get away. And what I'm hearing is that they're asking for less than lethal rounds, and they're getting those prepared so that they can fire into the vehicle and at least try to break the windows so that they can have better sight of the driver. I'm also hearing that the police canine is ready to go. I can see him there on the bottom of my screen. So what they typically try to do in these situations is try to break the windows, and then the police dog can't jump in after the person. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Again, it's unclear to us at this time if the driver was armed in any way, but based off of what I'm hearing, he is alive and still actively trying to get out of this situation. But that is what you're seeing here. Again, Gale Avenue and Hacienda Boulevard in Hacienda Heights, rather, the mobile gas station here on the corner. Very large police presence here from the LA County Sheriff's Department as they continue to try to take this person into custody. And
Eliana, we can see that canine unit right there. We can see the dog ready to go kind of in the center lower right-hand side of the screen, present and apparently quite willing and able to move forward if given the opportunity.
Now, you said, Eliana, that you believe that he was still revving the engine and spinning the wheels trying to get out of there?
Yeah, initially that's what we heard, but now what it looks like is that we're also possibly going to have a car fire here. So what I'm hearing is that the LA County Fire Department has been asked to come to the scene and stage nearby just in case that car does catch fire. They'll be close by and be able to put the fire out. But there you go. You see the deputies are going to try to take it upon themselves with their fire extinguisher. They're approaching the vehicle. So smoke is coming from the vehicle is what they're saying. So that's what the smoke that we were seeing. It's really difficult to see sometimes with all of the smoke what may be actually going on inside of that vehicle. But again, I'm monitoring the scanner and just waiting to hear what their next move is going to be.
So as far as you know, the driver is still behind the wheel on the left side of the vehicle? He hasn't scooted over to the right side or something like that?
Yeah, as far as we know, he's still in the front. I'm just listening real quick. I'm hearing that they think he may actually have a firearm, is what I'm hearing. So for that reason, of course, we'll be very careful about how we shoot this. I can see the front driver window there. I can see that they already fired less than lethal rounds into that because I'm seeing two huge holes there that were likely from the bean bags. And you see the deputies here at the bottom of the screen. They've got their shield. They're going to approach the driver's side at some point is what I'm hearing. And then there's also the police canine there with them.
And they haven't yet tried to take out one of the rear windows that would allow that dog access to the vehicle.
Yeah, at this point, it's obviously not broken enough, but sometimes what they'll do is they'll have a deputy come up and with his baton break the window. But I'm hearing them they're making announcements. They're making canine announcements, which means that they're telling him, hey, if you don't get out of the car, we're going to unleash the dog on you, and he's going to bite you. So they're warning him. They're going to say it several times. They'll say it in multiple languages, and if he still doesn't come out, that is when we will likely see them approach the vehicle.
Are the windows up or down on the vehicle?
The windows are up at this point, but I can see that there's two significant holes there on the driver's side of the vehicle.
I'm just wondering if they were to release the canines, how would they get access to the vehicle without the door open? Or
she was mentioning with a baton that an officer could likely smash out one of them. Isn't that kind of dangerous
for an officer to run up and do something like that?
It definitely is dangerous. We have seen it done, though. They'll use a shield as cover and then come up to the car, break the window with the baton, and then let the dog in. So I've seen it done before. It is dangerous, especially if they think that he could possibly be armed.
Right.
So that does increase the level of danger. But at this point, I'm not seeing too much in the way of movement in the vehicle. I can't zoom in too much, of course, because there's a possibility that he could be armed. But I'm continuing to monitor the scanner and just relay what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that folks are starting to gather. So people from the neighborhood are hearing about this, and they're starting to gather. So they're being cleared out because, of course, this is a situation where the officers have their guns drawn, and there's a possibility that shots have already been fired. So you want to be very careful about these things and just stay away until the bad guy is in custody.
Let's once again bring in our law enforcement expert, Dr. Errol Southers. What are some of the options we have here?
Well, one of the things we do have on our side here is time. So he's in that vehicle. They fired 2 less than lethal rounds into it. They will go ahead now and just try to see if he'll comply. They're not going to let that canine go loose with him being inside the vehicle, because they're not going to put the dog at risk, and there's no need for that. So, again, now it's about instructions and just to see whether or not he's willing to come out. At some point, they'll make a decision on how they're going to approach this vehicle and when, and actually do that. But they've got the benefit of time, and they'll take their time not to put any deputies at risk, and certainly not to have any further incident with him.
Would they think about calling in a SWAT vehicle?
That's possible. A SWAT vehicle would be an option here, because then again, but they're as close as they need to be, and that SWAT vehicle, although it could get closer, don't know if that's going to tactically give them any advantage at this point. So, again, let's just see if he complies, and we will take it from there. I'm just really interested in knowing what kind of damage those less than lethal rounds did to him, because they did penetrate the vehicle.
Yeah. And Errol, you know, we've seen before where vehicles like this appear to be incapacitated. They can't go anywhere, but we've also seen at times where they have sort of lurched forward, although there appeared to be a fire in this case. Is there any concern that he could perhaps move again somehow?
Absolutely. That's why you can see all those deputies that have about 180 degrees behind him. No one's in front of him, and that's on purpose. You're absolutely correct. Even though that front driver's wheel is totally incapacitated, we don't know what he's willing to do, because this evening we've seen he's pretty much willing to able to do anything.
And let me ask, Eliana, in the shot here, it appears that the passenger side window, just back of the driver's side, that it's either down or out. I mean, you probably have a better look at that. Has that window been, you see what I mean? It looks like it may be down or missing. Well, we see the bullet holes in the driver's side window, but I'm talking about the window directly behind it.
Hard to tell, but what I can tell you that I'm hearing is that they are making commands to him, and he's being uncooperative, which leads me to believe that he is alert enough to understand that he's supposed to get out of the car and is just choosing not to. So that's just based off of the preliminary scanner information that I'm hearing that the deputies are talking about on the ground. And then when I did zoom in on that window, you could see that you had those 2 beanbag holes from the less than lethal rounds on the driver's side of the vehicle. But yeah, that rear window appears to be up on this side. I can't really tell the other side, of course. But they're not talking about him actively moving around or anything like that. They're just saying he's being uncooperative.
Eliana, how many different agencies are involved here? That looks like a sheriff's vehicle directly behind the truck, but I know we saw police at some point, also CHP. Are all these agencies here?
Yeah, let me take a quick look at the units. I can tell just by looking at the doors. It looks like for the most part, everyone I'm seeing is going to be LA County Sheriffs. However, this of course started in Anaheim. It was the Anaheim police helicopter that was overhead. They called for the Orange County Sheriff's helicopter. And then during the course of the pursuit, we saw what I believe to have been Whittier police behind him. We did see CHP for a time. And then for the most part, LA County Sheriff, since he left Orange County and entered LA County's jurisdiction and stayed in their area for the most part, with little bouts of time that he did get on the freeway, but it was never long enough for CHP to get behind him. And it was finally that sheriff's unit that rammed into him here at the very end. And he rammed into a lot of vehicles during this pursuit, not only police vehicles but also civilian vehicles along the way.
And for those who may be just joining us and don't know, this is the third vehicle that this suspect has been in during this pursuit. Highly unusual. I mean, I don't think any of us have seen it done like that before. 3 different vehicles.
Yeah, and the most recent vehicle here, he took from a home where he had actually run into a home after he had
now we've
bailed.
got some action here, Carolyn.
They are moving forward, aren't they?
And they're moving in. You can see that those 2 deputies in the front have a shield. This other deputy has a stick that he's going to use to break that window.
Which he's done.
Which he just did. So this will give them a chance to take a peek in, and we'll be able to read their demeanor here, and that will answer some questions for us about how they think this guy is doing. I see them trying to unlock the front door. I don't want to push in too much, of course, because we don't know the exact condition of the driver.
We don't see any paramedics around, so.
They are asking for it, though. On the scanner, I'm hearing that they're asking for the ambulance. They're asking for the ambulance to stage nearby. But they're still working on getting the driver out of the car. But you can see that their demeanor is more relaxed now, which leads me to believe that they don't think that this person is a threat to them anymore.
And they've got the passenger
door
side
is opening.
Yeah. Errol, can you tell us about what we're seeing here?
And they're saying that, there we go,
Absolutely.
the driver is in handcuffs and in
out.
custody.
They're going to take him in custody and without further incident. And they did this the absolute right way. Took their time, time on their side. They had all the right equipment and all the right resources, and this is over.
Wow, what an ending to this one. And you know, we didn't know what the condition of this driver was going to be. He's walking right out of the vehicle.
Errol, where do you start with the charges?
Well, it starts with the initial, I guess, carjacking that started all of this, and then they'll go back, as you've done this evening, they'll look at that video, and they'll just start stacking on charges for every time he committed an offense. And we've got to go back and look at all those vehicles that have been damaged, make sure that nobody was hurt in this incident. We don't know that yet. And they'll just stack up the charges looking at the video review and keep adding them until they are complete, and then you'll see what he's going to go to court for.
Yeah. Now, it appears they're going to take him in the police vehicle. If they have called for the paramedics, we don't see them, and he is standing and walking on his own.
No, you're correct.